Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Brothers-in-law. And on this channel, we discuss police-involved incidents that occur around the country, and we give our analysis on the actions of those police officers to see if their actions are what a reasonable officer would do. We also look at the actions of the citizens to see if they have followed our acronym of CALM, which stands for comply, answer questions, listen, and move on. Would their situation had turned out differently? Now, we know you may agree or disagree with us, and that's totally fine. You're entitled to your own opinion. But it's our hope by the end of the video that you get a better understanding of how these incidents unfold. So if you're new to our channel, I'm a former Virginia State Trooper of 7 years and a retired Navy Chief Petty Officer of 20 years. And my co-host, Mr. Michael Bradley.
Hey, what's going on? I see you, Delando. I see you, Stacy. I see you, Mrs. Taylor. Scott, good. I see you chimed in just a bit ago. I'm Mike Bradley. I'm the co-host of the show. Retired police officer in Northern California, 26 years. And also a Army veteran for 6 years. So we got a good show lined up for you today. We got yet another video where things get a little out of hand
when they say the least.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but as usual, before we get into it, if you're new to the channel, please go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe button for us to get us into the YouTube algorithm and get this message out far and wide. Also, before we go, head on over to the merch shop and get yourself a nice little Brothers-in-law t-shirt and a hoodie right there. We got some nice stuff on there, nice apparel on there. Christmas is coming up. Bless somebody with a Brothers-in-law t-shirt. And all proceeds go to helping us expand our channel and get on more platforms out there. So we talk about the acronym CALM. Again, it stands for comply, answer questions, listen, and move on. So tonight's video is called "A Father Tries to Prevent His Son's Arrest." I get it, Mike. I understand why he did what he did, but there's a point in time where you gotta draw yourself back and allow the police to do what they need to do by putting things. I trust me when I say I know what this dad was going through. So it's a good one to talk about. What as a parent. Now we have to put our parent hat on. I think in this one, Mike, and kind of look at it from a dad's perspective, / also being prior law enforcement, looking at it from a law enforcement side, and all for what did he have a suspended registration
or something. It was something. Yeah, it was something that I guess Illinois has with vehicles out there, where even if you buy the vehicle, if for example, if all the tickets aren't paid or all the financial obligations are not met by the previous owner, you basically have to deal with that stuff if you are the new owner of the car. And this message couldn't get across very well. So one thing we'll tell you though, folks, is remember, even if you don't agree with the officers telling you to do this or do that or what they're going to do, it's never a good idea to just refuse and say, no, you ain't. You don't want to do that. You know, this is, they had every opportunity to handle this a different way. The citizens did, but they chose to push the limit. And we're gonna get into it. This happened earlier in May of this year, actually, in Illinois. And I'm gonna start from the very beginning, how these officers, they happen to be parked on the side of the road or wherever they were parked, and they were doing speed enforcement. It sounds like, and they saw this car doing 53 and 30, speeding, and so they it looks like the driver might be a trainee. He might have him there for FTO or something. That's what it sounds like to me. I could be wrong on that, but at any rate, they see this vehicle speed by him, and at some point they decide that they're going to stop this vehicle. But this vehicle is going at a speed where it gets pretty far down the road, but they still try to stay on track to catch up to this vehicle and stop. So with that being said, I'm gonna start the video right at the beginning, and here we go.
Now this is a lengthy video, so I'm sure Mike's going to skip certain parts. And then the link to it is already down in the description down below if you want to check it out in its entirety.
Okay.
3 miles per hour in a 30-mile-per-hour zone.
53. There we go. Watch out. Getting out of here, though. And it's in the hall, so. Jesus. He's coming. Get out of here. She'll get him. There you go. That light. Great. Still up there, though. Getting over. I was actually talking to that person. It was over. Right. Yeah. Get over. If you can get around this car, go ahead. Oh my God.
How many times that happened, Gordy?
Well, all the time. I mean, you know.
Keep in mind, they're trying to catch up to this vehicle. And this is the vehicle that they're trying to catch up to.
Pull in. Just keep pulling in, buddy. Yeah. We'll tell you about it. Just pull there. Stop right there. You were just on Monroe, man. You were speeding, okay? I'm speeding. Southbound on Monroe, yeah. Before you got to El Dorado, we got you going 53 and a 30, all right? On the handheld radar. I was on Monroe. Yes, you were. And y'all pulled me over. Because there's a thing called traffic where people are in our way, so it's kind of hard to catch up to you. So, you got your license on you? I wasn't born on 53. Well, that's what our handheld radar said. I need to see that. Hey, you ain't gonna see it. That's where you live? Yep. All right. ID on them? How many other people you got in the back? Okay. You got a couple people in the back? Just your girl? Okay. Ray, you on the car? Yeah. All right.
Let me pause it real quick, Corey. Now, some folks may be wondering, why did he ask for the passenger's identification? Now, in California, you don't have to provide your identification to police officers if you're the passenger in the car for a traffic violation, unless there's something going on that the officer needs to investigate and you may be involved. That's different. But this, Corey, correct me if you have a different take on what's going on at this moment. But these passengers must have just decided to give their ID, and that's okay too. There's nothing wrong with that. But just to point that out, they didn't have to give their identification unless the officer insisted for some other reason. What's
correct? No, you're 100%. The passengers, more specifically, didn't have to present. And typically, I would never ask the passenger for their ID unless, I needed to verify who they were so they could drive the car off if that situation had arise. But normally, as long as they were sitting there, just keeping their mouth shut, not interrupting the investigation, I typically didn't mess around with the passenger. I just dealt with the driver. Now the passenger opened their mouth and started, trying to tell me, what the driver was doing. Then okay, now you got my attention. Now I need to know who you are. Now I'm asking you for your ID.
I think that's reasonable. I mean, and also, as you know, this driver automatically said that's cap. It's my understanding that cap is a slang term for that's bull, basically.
That's a lie.
As our viewers saw from the very beginning, simple traffic stop, caught him speeding. It took him a moment to catch up to the vehicle, as you could see, because there was a lot of traffic in the roadway, and they were trying to get through the traffic before they were actually able to catch up to this vehicle. And I bring it up because sometimes, Corey, people say, well, why did it take so long for you to pull me over? If you saw me back here, why did you pull me over way down here? Well,
Right.
that's one reason that could have happened. Another reason is maybe I didn't want to pull you over in that spot. I wanted to pull you over in this spot. But in this situation, they were trying to get through traffic. That's what took them so long to catch up to them.
And now they ended up in the driveway of the driver's residence. So
Right.
you good
All
to
right,
go.
here we go.
Ask Anthony for insurance. It's suspended for insurance, so. Good. Okay. Well, come back here, buddy. So comes back suspended for mandatory insurance violation, but he's got good insurance. Okay. So I have to tow the car. We're not gonna take the plates though.
Come on, you said what? What'd he say?
Your plates are they're suspended for mandatory insurance violation.
Bro, that's cap. What do you mean? I got this out of auction. I got the registration right here for the plates. That's cap. That's cap. That's cap. I got the registration right here. Everything for the cars right here.
What comes back suspended for insurance?
How? When I got it right here. I just showed you insurance. How? When I just showed you the insurance. Bro, y'all, that's cap. How? When I just sold you insurance.
Anthony, it's suspended for a mandatory insurance violation. At some point, they suspended it for the insurance violation.
No, they have not. What do you mean?
The Secretary of State did. I don't have control on what they do.
No, they have not, bro. I have insurance right here. I have everything valid. Insurance. Bro, I have everything is valid. Y'all don't have no reason to throw my
So
car.
let me stop right there, Mike, real quick.
I'm already telling you right now that according to the
Mike.
Secretary of State that we just ran through our process, when it comes back to
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. So what we know thus far that the insurance is suspended, right? He has no insurance. Is that correct?
No, now this
Or
was
is it registration?
This was a little confusing to me too. So, if I understand it correctly, in Illinois, what happened was he must have just recently purchased this
He
car
bought
at
it
an auction, right?
At an auction, right?
Now, and when he bought this car, he did have his own insurance for the car when he bought it. So
Correct.
the paperwork that he had with him as the owner showed that it had insurance and everything. What they're trying to say is, in the system, this license plate still had an insurance suspension on it.
That was
So in
never
other
taken care of.
Yeah. So in other words, the city they must have suspended the registration on this car at some point before he owned it.
Right.
And the prior owner didn't take care of that.
Right.
So
now he has to.
But he doesn't understand that. See, according to him, he got his own insurance for the car. He purchased the car at an auction. So why does he have to be responsible for the insurance on a car from somebody else, from the previous owner? You know what I'm saying?
I get his argument.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean, he has a valid argument. So, I mean, I guess the question is, if you're this individual, what do you think what should be your response into this? If it were me, I would be immediately getting on the phone with the insurance company and have them do a check, because according to the Illinois law, they're supposed to do two checks a year on to see if you're maintaining valid insurance. Okay. So I would be on the phone with my insurance company. Hey, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot over. Why is it showing that? And make it to the point that, hey, this is your job. You should have caught this when I purchased the insurance, because you were supposed to do a check on here to make sure it's a clean title, it's a clean registration. You should have done this. So I would make it so that the insurance company would have to pay this or reimbursement.
Yeah, I agree. I don't and the thing that I'm not sure I agree with now, I don't know. It's my understanding that per their state law, these officers have to tow this car. But I don't. That's the problem that I have. Is you're going to tow this man's car, even though I understand whatever suspension's on here is on here from the prior owner and the prior insurance, but nonetheless, the license plate for this car is still suspended. So this car is not supposed to be on this road. Now, whose fault is that? I agree with you, Corey. I would call my insurance company and say, hey, I thought you guys took care of this, but you didn't. Okay.
Right.
Now I'm in a position where I'm pulled over and they're about to tow my car because of some registration insurance suspension, which just sounds complicated to me, but it is what it is. At this point, I think you gotta go with what the officer's saying. Right. You can't, if he's saying I gotta tow your car, well, then he's just gonna have to tow the car because you can't stand in his way.
Well, and I think that's the huge problem, because I was kind of like, why do you have to tow it if it's at the resident? I mean, I guess because we don't have laws like this here in Virginia. And again, this is where, you know, the dad in me comes out. It's like, hey, well, why don't it's here now? So if it's just the plates, but the way they're explaining, it's not just the plate. It is the plates, but it's not. It's like, okay, we'll just take the plates, right? If it's a place, just take the place. But I guess in Illinois, and if you're one of our viewers and you're watching us, Illinois, please help us out understanding this law. Then why can't you just, you know, remove the place? For example, here in Virginia, if something like that happened, if the registration is expired or the license plate was stolen, then I would just remove the plates. I wouldn't take the car. Then a car would eventually have to get towed, especially if it's on the roadway. Yeah, it's going to get towed because you can't just leave it sitting on the roadway. But however, in this type of situation, it would make more sense to me that you would just take the plates and just leave the car. But I guess in Illinois, it doesn't work that way. And now, you know, they're not going to. The thing about a situation like this, Mike, the officers are not going to back down. It's the city ordinance or the state law that it states that they shall remove the vehicle from the road or whatever, how is written. And I looked at one of their statutes and what the requirements are for them to have a proper registration and keep their insurance maintained. And they had the right to tow the vehicle. It's a crazy law, and again, this is Illinois. So at this point, I understand this young man's frustration, and you know, coming from a law enforcement officer, I think it's BS too. I'm like, well, that's just stupid. Like, you know what I mean? It just don't make sense. Now,
if anything, take the plate and say you can't drive this car without a plate. Now you have to go through DMV or whatever and get a new plate or square away whatever administratively is supposed to be squared away.
Yeah, Scott, and that's my thoughts too. I mean, it's Illinois, man, and it's, you know, it's one of these things, Mike, where I'm at the point now. You know, we've done very well the last couple of years leaving politics, you know, out of this, but this is one of the ones where, hey, you really need to get out and vote locally and to change these types of laws. That, you know, it's BS in my opinion.
Sure.
This is straight BS law that it's probably one. If I was the officer in this case, be honest with you, I'd probably just, hey, pull the tags and park this car. If I see it on the road, I'm coming to get it.
Yeah. I mean, but for our viewers' sake, just because we don't agree with the law doesn't mean you don't have to follow it. Bottom line is, it did come to a point where, whether we like it or not, whether we agree with it or not, these officers decided that they have to tow the car. And they told him that. They made it clear, look, we got to tow the car. So He can argue all day as long as he follows the orders that the officers are giving him.
Yeah,
okay.
he can argue all day.
Unfortunately, like I say, you may not like it. We don't understand it either. We think that sounds kind of silly. That it seems like you have to tow the car when there's something, But in this case, Corey, they did. They have to tow the car.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying they have to do, and you can't stop that.
Right. Even though the young man has valid insurance and a valid registration, and I think again in his defense, he's finding that hard to believe it and to process that, right?
He's finding it hard to accept. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's finding it very hard to accept that, and I get it. And I probably would be the same way as him. Like you're crazy. But then again, like I told you, Mike, I'd be on the phone with my insurance company, like, hey, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot over, you need to fix this.
Yeah. But at the same time, Corey, I'm not going to sit and stop these officers from towing the car.
No, I mean, you're going to have to do your job, obviously, because
these officers, they're going to do what they got to do. And
right.
I don't like it, but I got to comply.
As you see, you can't let your emotions get the best of you.
So here we go. Here let's continue.
All right.
For a mandatory, the registration plates.
I got the registration right here.
Not the registration plates are coming back suspended at some point. You must have had a violation for it.
That's cap. What do you mean?
Dude, it's not cap. I'm just telling you what I had in front of my face.
Everything right here. Everything is valid. Like, what are you talking about?
Okay, well, I'm telling you what we are being shown right now.
Bro, and I just showed you. You just showed him valid insurance. Like, what are you talking about?
With the insurance, we're not going to take the plates, but we have to tow the car until you can get this sorted through the Secretary of State.
Bro, nothing is suspended. Nothing is like there's nothing to sort out, bro. They talking about the police just pulled me over talking about my place is invalid. Talking about for my insurance, my place is invalid. Exactly how? Bro, there's nothing to figure out. Everything is valid. I literally just showed y'all valid insurance, valid driver's license, valid plates. Everything is valid. Like, I do what I'm being told. Like, bro, that's cat, bro. Get y'all supervisor out here. Bring them out here. Bring them out here. Bring them out here. We'll bring them out here. We'll bring them out here. Right here. This is April.
I understand.
Through June.
Okay. I understand what you're saying. Okay.
That's cat.
I get what you're saying. But they could be suspended from years ago and you can still get insurance on it. So just because you have valid insurance right now doesn't mean they haven't been suspended.
What hasn't been suspended?
Your plates. So the secretary.
These are brand new plates.
When did you get the plate?
At the auction in Clinton, when I got the car. These are brand new plates. Like, what do you mean?
I'm just asking when it was.
And
when did you get the car?
Whenever I got the insurance.
So we don't know why they're suspended. Well, they're suspended for insurance. We don't know when they got suspended. I understand what you're saying, but in our system, they're saying they're suspended. We can only go based off of what that says. So if it's saying it's suspended for insurance and you have insurance, that's good. But we still have to tow the car. We just don't have to take the plates. Now, if you didn't have insurance to show us, we would have to take the plates, and you wouldn't be able to get your plates back until you did all that stuff. But right now,
so the plates are suspended.
The plates are suspended. Yes.
Exactly. So why would y'all take the plates? Why y'all want to take the car?
Because you have insurance.
So I have insurance on the car.
Right.
Now the plates are suspended.
Right, Jesus, exactly.
Huh?
No, I was just saying, agreeing with Jesus love. You said the state is at fault for not clearing the plates. Yep.
Yeah, I agree. And plus, one thing he said, the plates are brand new. Well, that's kind of inaccurate. They're not brand new. He bought the car at an auction, which means there was a prior owner of the car who had those plates. So those plates aren't brand new. It doesn't sound like it. If they're brand new, I'm taking that as you just bought the car brand new, and these are newly issued plates.
Or he took the title down to DMV and got new plates through the DMV.
Right.
So these plates, so in the auction, it's whatever tags on it. So you're assuming responsibility when you get to sign the title over. and received that title. So he's now taking responsibility for whatever that previous owner had on it. He may have insurance and everything. Now, like I said, I agree with Jesus Levy. It seems like the state and the insurance company dropped the ball on, because I think the state is works with the insurance company to check these things to make sure they do have valid registration and valid insurance.
And
so
that information should have been divulged at the auction. You know what I'm saying? I'm not too familiar with how auctions, all the things they have to do to prepare a car to be sold. But it seems to me like all that information should have been divulged to the new buyer that those plates were suspended. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't have been able to sell that car to a new owner if those plates were suspended from an auction. Now, if he bought it from the private person who didn't do their research, that's a different story. Okay.
Right.
But you bought this car from an auction. It seems to me like they should have had that information up front, right? No?
It should. But then again, I mean, I don't know what I mean, it's an auction, so it's not like they're have a relationship with insurance companies or whatever. That's whoever purchased the vehicle. That's your job to get the insurance on it. And again, that's why for me, I'm always falling back to the insurance company. You know, hey, I called you, I gave you the VIN number, I gave you the license plate number. Hey, I just bought this car from the auction. They can run those tags right there for Illinois. And they should be able to pull up on it. Hey, well, these tags are suspended. Before we issue this as policy, you need to pay this fine. So you know what I mean? It should have been caught before he drove off.
Before he drove off the lot, off the auction lot.
Right. Now you're here at this point where now it's and again, I'm in agreement with the young man here. He's blindsided now. He thinks this is all bull crap, and now, you know, he's feeling like he's being just, you know, simply just being harassed. Like, well, you know, how can you? And then you're tow my car now because I have registration, but you tell me but now you want to tow my car. But I'm telling you, I'm showing you I have everything.
I'm showing you I have all the documents up to date that I'm supposed to have right now with this car. Now, as an officer, let me ask our viewers, you're the officer in this situation. It's a legitimate stop. That we're not arguing that. You stopped him for speeding. You caught up to him. You stopped him. During the course of the stop, they determined that, oh, in addition to you speeding, now we are told, looking at our computer system, that your license plate is suspended and we are supposed to tow the car. Now, as an officer, what are you going to do, viewers, at this point? You have something telling you that, okay, it's suspended, but he's showing you paperwork that says, no, this is all what I got right here. It looks good to me. What would you do in this situation? The state tells you you have to tow the car because in our system, it shows it's suspended at some point for not having insurance. That's what it looks like, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know he has insurance now, but that's not why it's suspended for the insurance that he has now. It's suspended for whatever the insurance was lacking before he bought the car.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I don't know, Corey. For me, it's hard for us to say because we don't work in Illinois as officers. Right. Maybe they have some law that says, officer, you must tow that car if it comes back and says this. I don't know.
Hey,
do they have any leeway here? You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. Like, you know, if it says you shall, then you don't have any wiggle room in it. And my mom says, could he have just transferred the license plate? Now, you know, I would assume that once he purchased the vehicle, he would, you know, have to go down to the DMV to get it properly registered. At the auction, it's just them signing the title over to you. So you still would have to get it properly registered. That's how we would do it here. You still need to go to DMV to get it properly registered and show that you now have possession of this vehicle. So, and if he, I don't know if this young man did that, but if he did do that, then again, DMV should have caught this, right? So I'm assuming he just went got the insurance prior to leaving the auction, or shortly after he just left the auction and got home with the vehicle, got his insurance, and now he's assuming he's good to go.
Now, there's two comments here that are good comments. Stacy, she says, "I'm not towing the car. I'm just taking the plates." Well, again, Stacy, that depends on what the law is. Or can they get away with just taking the plates? Can they get away with not towing the car? We don't know how much leeway these officers have here. You know, like Corey said, if the law tells them they must tow the car, they shall tow the car. They have to tow the car. You know what I'm saying? Not just take the plate. So that depends on how much leeway these officers have. And then Jesus Loves You says, seeing that it's not his fault, I would give him a warning for speeding and tell him to go take care of those plates immediately. Again, kind of the same thing I was telling Stacey. I guess that depends on what the law is and how much leeway these officers have. We don't make the law, and we can't just say, "Oh, we're not going to do this" when the law or what we're seeing on the screen tells us we must do. We can't go against that. But I agree with Stacy and Jesus Loves You. If I had the leeway, Corey, and with him showing me all the proper documents that show that he, at least for now, has insurance and registration for the vehicle, okay? If I had the leeway to do so, I wouldn't tow the car. You know what I'm saying? I would, if I could get away with just taking the plates and log them into evidence, do a report on the license being suspended for insurance.
Yeah, but see,
I would go that route if I had the leeway to do so.
But in this case, it's not the license plates because he has the valid or the valid insurance. That's why they got to tow the car, which again, that to me, that doesn't make any sense. But Stacey makes a good point. You know, if he did go to the DMV, like I said, you know, he would have to got the car registered because he needs a registration, right? It shows that he is the registered owner of the vehicle. So if he went to DMV, which it seems that he did because the registration is valid, he's got insurance, they should have caught that at DMV.
Oh, yeah. They definitely would have caught that at DMV because they have all the records just like the police do. We're looking at what DMV is showing.
Now, it could just be now, you know as well as I do, Mike, you've ran through hundreds of situations where something doesn't get cleared out the system.
Yeah.
It could have been that this individual did take care. Somebody just never cleared it out the system.
Yeah.
You know, almost like, you know, how we deal with warrants, right? Hey,
True.
no, that warrant was taken care of, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's still showing it's active in the system, man. And they're still telling me it's still valid. I got to take you to jail. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's kind of like that. They didn't clear it out of there, so you're. It's almost like the officer hands are tied. Man, I have to take you to jail or take your car. And it sounds like there is no wiggle room because the way these officers' demeanor is thus far, if there was any wiggle room in this, I believe they would have made it possible for him just to leave the car and whatever the case may be and not tow the car. But it seems as though there is no wiggle room in this.
Right. I agree. And keep in mind, for viewers' sake, you see how we're discussing this administrative issue with this license versus the car being suspended, blah, blah, blah. That's one argument. But bottom line is, once the officer says, look, I'm going to tow your car and I need you to get out. Doesn't matter if you agree with it or not, you have to comply. Because if you don't comply, we have to do the necessary force to get you to comply. Okay, we don't want it to come to that. You may not agree that I'm going to tow your car, but I'm going to tow your car whether you agree with me or not. You, as a citizen, cannot hold them up. You cannot stand in the way of that. You have to go about another way to fight what happened to your car. Make your insurance company pay for it. Whoever's responsible for your plate being suspended for no insurance in the first place, they need to be held accountable for that. Okay.
Yeah.
But the officers still have to do their job. If they're telling them to tow the car, they have to tow the car.
Yeah,
Okay?
I mean, it's based on their ordinance. So
Right. Let's
get into it. Let's get.
All right.
Plates are registered to the car.
We'll take your plates then. Exactly. Take the plate.
We don't want to take your plates because you have insurance.
Let me explain that.
No, but I don't want y'all to take the car. I want y'all to take the plates.
Well, you can get the car back for $250 to get a police department.
But who wants to pay? Who wants to do that? I can just go get some new plates. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, maybe that's something you'll have to go do, but for right now, it's a city ordinance.
Just tell the supervisor to pull up. I'll talk to him.
Well, Anthony, give me a minute. Roll down your window so I can explain that part to you too. I'm just saying he's not going to be able to come. He's the only one right now. So if you want to have a conversation with him over the speakerphone, you can step out and we can do that. I got eyes on him if you want to see what he's going through right now. Anthony, can you hear me? Anthony, open the door. We're going to tow this car. The sergeant's not available to come out here right now. What's that? He's not going to be able to do that. He's inside right now. We have no other command on the street right now. Sir, one step now. Anthony, listen, man. We're going to have to get you out of this car if you're not going to comply. You understand that? We're doing this right now. We're giving you a lawful order to get out of the car right now. Anthony, we're giving you a lawful order to get out of the car. We don't want to have to make this go any further, but our sergeant's unable to come right now. He's not able to come here right now. How many times I got to say he's not able to come here right now? Anthony. When we run it, and when we run it, it comes back to suspended.
Unfortunately, yeah, they have to tow the car, Vince, and that's what we were discussing earlier. And we kind of just are honestly dumbfounded, like, why do you need to do this? But apparently that's their ordinance, their city ordinance when it comes to having valid license and registration and proof of insurance. In this case here, you know, they have to tow the car. It's not the plates. The plates are actually fine. It's just you know, they have to tow the vehicle, and which to me makes no sense, but that's where we are.
Right. The laws are different in every state. So apparently in Illinois, like you say, they have this law where something with the registration and the insurance versus the car and towing and stuff, they have to do it. Then now that's at this point though, that's really beside the point.
At this point,
that's something that should be argued some other way, not right now.
So at this point,
also,
do you think the police are escalating this situation, or is the driver of this vehicle escalating the situation?
Well, at this point, I'm assuming that the officers have no leeway and they have to tow the car. They made that clear to him, and they have to tow the car. Now, he doesn't agree with it, but folks, you cannot just sit in the car and say, you ain't towing my car until I speak to a supervisor. You can't do that. It's quite reasonable that a supervisor may not be available to come out onto the street. And if in that case, well, you still got to comply with what the officer is saying. You can't say, I'm going to sit here and not going to do nothing until a supervisor comes out. Quite often, a supervisor is not available to come out to personally see you. You can go to the station and talk to the supervisor after the fact, okay? But right now, you have to get out of that car because I'm going to tow it. If you don't voluntarily get out, well, shoot, I'm going to have to force you to get out. And remember, folks, on a traffic stop, you are required to get out of that car if the officer orders you to get out of the car. You and the passenger, you're required, case law, you're required to exit that vehicle upon command, whether you want to or not.
Right.
It's beside the point. Okay, let's keep going. So at this point, the driver in this situation, he's starting to escalate the situation. These officers are now, as an officer, I would be like, okay, he's refusing to get out of the car, Corey. At some point, I'm going to have to force this dude to get out of the car. I don't know what kind of resistance he's going to put up. I don't know. Never mind that. I don't even know if he has any weapons in the car at this point. I don't know if he's upset enough to be able to pull a gun on me at this point. These are all the things I am reasonably thinking about based on training experience. This is what an officer should be thinking about at this point. Okay.
And your visibility inside the car is very low because you've got all that tint on the windows. So
he got the windows rolled up. I need to stand at a point of advantage so I can try to see into the vehicle the whole time. Because you don't know what he is doing, what he's capable of doing, or anything like that. So you have to be ready as an officer. I know I'm going to put my hands on this guy, and I got to be ready for whatever. Here we go.
All right.
So when I call my sergeant, what's he going to tell you different? What's he going to tell you different? So come on out before we have to get you out.
So Anthony, who is the driver, was actually talking to him through the car with the windows rolled up.
Yeah.
Do you know Anthony? Could you?
Do you know me?
I don't. Can I explain something to you? Maybe we can talk to him a little bit better. All right. Come on over. Please. Thank you. I'm trying to do this as civil as possible, but the plates just come back suspended for insurance.
We got insurance.
This happens from time to time when plates get suspended for insurance, and you can still get insurance on the vehicle, but it has never been resolved. Okay. The City of Decatur has an unlawful use of motor vehicle, basically a fine for this type of situation where we tow the car.
We got insurance. They come out every month. There's no way.
It's the registration plates have been suspended for insurance at some point in some time.
The car is new. It just got on the street.
They're not understanding what he's saying. They're not saying he doesn't have insurance right now. They're saying the plate was suspended before you had the car. Okay. That never got resolved. That's what they're saying. Okay. Whether you understand, agree with it is beside the point. They got to tow this car, and we're trying to talk to you to see if you can help us talk to him to ease him out of this car without any confrontation. Here we go.
I'm telling you that the plates were suspended at some point in some time.
How? If they knew?
What do you mean they're new? When did you get them?
It ain't even been like a month or 2 months.
Okay, that's enough time for where they could have been suspended for insurance.
No, it's been in the shop.
I'm only going through what we have in our system.
I'm right here. You ain't got to raise your voice. I'm right here. You said step over here.
I don't want him to get in trouble for anything further. He's obstructing.
But you're saying tow the car. Tow the car for what?
For the insurance.
It got insurance.
On the plates, they were suspended for insurance violation.
Never could have had.
I can't reason with anybody.
Okay, she ain't being helpful.
No.
Look, lady. The only reason why I'm talking to you is to help me get him out of the car. I'm not going to stand here and argue about whether or not I'm supposed to tow the car. We went through that already. You don't understand. You don't agree. That's okay. But I have to do what I got to do. Can you help me get him out of the car? Not stand here and argue the law with me. Okay.
Right.
Help me get him out of the car because I don't want to have to put my hands on him. I don't want to have to arrest him for anything. I just want to get out of the car so I can tow the car and he can go through his normal channels of fixing the problem. That's it. Okay.
Yeah, like
don't turn this into something that don't have to be by refusing to get out of the car.
Right. And like one of the viewers said, she knows they're not new. She's just making excuses. Yeah, they're not new because if you got new tags, like Stacy said a little while ago, if he went to DMV, he would have got new tags to match the registration.
Yeah,
Which
they couldn't be new. You
I'm
bought it at
still,
an auction 2 months ago.
right. Anything can happen. Now we don't know how long ago the license plates got suspended or whatever. It's almost like they're really, because they have the actual physical documents now. They're not thinking previously before they got this. It's almost like this is prior to you assuming responsibility or ownership, taking ownership of this vehicle, that these license plates were. Maybe the officers could have just tried to rephase it a little differently to get a better understanding. Because I
Yeah,
can
but they don't have to stand there for.
I
They
can
don't have
totally
to stand
see
there
how
for
this
2
law can
hours
make you.
explaining it.
Well,
You know
no,
what
they
I'm
don't
saying?
have it. But I mean, you're asking this lady for help. All right, let me break it down Barney style for you. Before you purchase cars, X, Y, and Z happened. DMV, the state suspended the registration on this vehicle for whatever reason. You then went and purchased it. The previous owner never took care. Now you assume responsibility for this vehicle. Maybe it could have been explained a little bit differently. I don't know. But she was definitely not being helpful.
No,
She was not being helpful.
She didn't realize by us talking to her, we were past the point of arguing whether or not the plate was suspended. We were at a point where we're trying to get him out of the car because we're going to tow it. Can you help us get him out of the car?
And my hat goes off to these officers because they're doing everything possible trying to make this a peaceful ending, so that nobody gets hurt. They don't have to go hands on with this dude. We don't want to go hands on. We just want to tow the vehicle.
Right.
That's it.
Now, folks, you're gonna see this is gonna get out of hand real quick. Here we go.
Okay, so we don't have a sergeant right now that can respond and explain that exact same process. We have to the car. He's refusing to get out. That's where we're at. I absolutely do not want to have to go hands on with this guy and get him out for something so petty. But we can just
petty, and if you can just park it here.
because I can just give him the tickets and tow the car. We can't. I can't lawfully do that. I have to tow the car. I cannot. It is not in my power. We are told by the city that I work for that I have to tow this car.
Why are you being loud and I'm right here?
I can't do it. All right. You're not helping the situation, though. That's why I'm getting loud and frustrated. I'm trying, but he is not here. Please do, Sergeant Daniels. I don't know you, and you're not helping the situation now.
I mean, I get how he can be frustrated.
Oh yeah, because now I know I'm gonna have to put my hands on this guy, and I don't want to, but because he's making me do that, now I know I'm gonna have to do something.
Let me go. Anybody?
I think he manages to get a supervisor on.
Yeah, I think that's what he's doing now.
His plates say suspended for mandatory insurance violation. He does have current insurance. He's valid and all that, and he's throwing a fit. He doesn't understand the process. I don't know what you can say any different, but we've got to tell him. I've told him 1,000 times. It is Anthony.
Anthony was arrested last year for possession of cannabis with intent to deliver 30 to 500 grams, armed violence, Category 1 weapons, defined as a handgun, shotgun, or any other concealable firearm, and aggravated unlawful use of a weapon, found on him loaded with no concealed carry license. He was found guilty of aggravated unlawful use of a weapon and is currently on a 30-month probation for it.
Now, let me stop it right there, because you know what people would say. People would say, well, what does that have to do with what's going on right now? Well, let me tell you, if you have that information as an officer, it does point to what he might be capable of. Okay. If you were arrested and you currently on probation for being an armed dope dealer, okay, who knows what you might be able to do? Who knows what you might have in that car? For all I know, you could be armed right now. As dark as those windows are tinted, you could be aiming a pistol at me right now. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be a little bit more alert.
Yep.
Because of that type of history, because that does point to what he could be capable of doing now. Not that he will do it. We ain't saying that, but we have to be ready just in case that's a possibility. Okay.
Yeah, that definitely raises your antennas up to be very cautious of what's going on, because like I said, you can't see inside that vehicle now. So him having his previous record, why is he keeping those windows rolled up? Why is he not getting out of the vehicle now?
Yeah, I mean, I understand you don't agree and understand the law.
I get that.
If I'm telling you got to get out, how much testicles do you have to say sit there in the car and say, I ain't getting out, you ain't towing my vehicle?
Right.
Especially if you know you're on probation for being an armed dope dealer. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And people always say, Corey, what does that have to do with now? Well, it's got a lot to do with now, because at least it makes me ready for some possibility of you doing something worse.
Worse. Correct.
Here we go.
So it sounds like he got the supervisor coming out.
Yeah, he finally got the supervisor to come out.
All right, he's coming out, so we'll just wait. Why don't you go up front so you can see the other side of the windshield there? Just look in. I would imagine something is in there, wraps and stop sticks around it.
Just gonna take my car. Yeah. Thing. Is that all right? Yeah.
On the phone, my guy is. This guy's on his phone. I can see this guy's too.
There's the supervisor.
So what's the issue?
After I grab you.
Everything valid.
Everything with your license plate, pal.
But how I get new license plate? How they give me bogus license plate?
Who gave you a bogus license
I
plate?
got this from the Clinton auction.
You got it from the Clinton auction with this license plate on there?
Brand new license plate.
Okay, well, it's suspended for mandatory insurance.
But how when I have insurance?
correctly, he's on the traffic stop right now.
I have no idea. It's suspended for mandatory insurance, so that's what I'm telling you.
But how?
Well, for a multitude of reasons. I mean, somebody got stopped in his car with no insurance, or something happened, but the license plates are suspended. That's what I'm telling you.
So why y'all can't take the plates?
We are. Well, we won't, because you have valid insurance, but the car's got to be towed.
How when I got valid insurance, but like how do that work?
Well, they're gonna have to tow your car, and you're gonna have to figure it out.
Right.
Oh, but the registration is right here, and the insurance is right here. So how I don't have valid?
The license plates, that's your registration. The license plates are your registration. They're not valid.
He'll be around.
For insurance, but I have insurance.
Enforcement of the mandatory insurance law is accomplished through an electronic insurance verification process. If the initial verification attempt does not verify that a vehicle is covered by a statutorily required minimum liability insurance policy, that vehicle will be checked a second time after 30 days. This process allows the office to determine whether the vehicle was sold, placed into storage, or otherwise not being driven on the roadways. If the second verification attempt does not confirm a liability insurance policy for the vehicle, the registered owner of the vehicle will be sent a registration suspension letter.
And there you have it. So whoever had that vehicle before him, they had 2 months to get it taken care of, and they never did. So they suspended the license plate for that car.
And now he assumes responsibility.
Right. Right. Here we go.
Vehicle owner and insurance company will be required to prove that the vehicle is covered by a liability insurance policy on the date of the initial verification attempt within 30 days of the letter through their insurance agent. If the registered owner and insurance agent cannot provide proof that the vehicle was covered by a liability insurance policy on the date of the initial verification attempt, the vehicle's registration will be suspended.
Okay.
That happens a lot. A lot of people have insurance and their license plates are suspended for mandatory insurance.
So how did that happen though? When these is brand new plates and I have insurance.
How long did you buy the car?
Not too long ago, a few months.
A few months. Something happened in the state of Illinois and you where you didn't report something and they suspended the
I
plates.
don't have nothing going on. Like, what do you mean?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't own this car.
It's brand new. I'm telling you.
I've never ran into somebody that had their plates accidentally suspended for mandatory insurance.
Bro, it don't make no sense because I have insurance. I have the plates. I'm the owner. Everything is secure. Registration.
Okay.
I've never got pulled over. And got a ticket that I didn't pay. Like,
See, he's mistaken that those license plates are new. No, it's not. Those license plates were on that vehicle when he got the car from the auction.
You know what? Bottom line, at this point, dude, we're going to tow your car. We just need you to get out. We don't have time to sit here and hold court on the
We're
street.
not going back and forth over it. You can't.
We can't keep going back and forth over trying to get you to understand the law. I don't agree with the law, but it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? At this point, it is what it is. We got to tow your car. You might not like it, but you got to comply.
Delano, he's got to pay for somebody else's neglect.
Right. Unfortunately, he does.
He does.
You know, but you can't just sit there and say, I ain't getting out the car and you ain't going to tow my car. That's ridiculous. You can't do that. These officers are not just going to say, okay, never mind, turn around and walk away.
Right. And to our other viewer here, new guest, welcome. He's making the situation more difficult. The longer he sits in the car, the more and more he's digging himself into a hole. It's going to be, he's going to end up getting more charges probably.
Right. Here we go.
saying I don't have insurance when I've had insurance for full time.
Okay, well, the bottom line is the license plates are suspended, so you can't operate the vehicle on a roadway. So we're gonna
put the vehicle in there. Like that.
No, that's not how this works. We're going to tow the vehicle. Yeah, because you beat the police officer here and they stopped you at the end of the driveway. Okay, so
don't make no sense. Like
it does make sense. I assure you, it might not make sense to you, but it makes sense to everybody else here.
Because y'all trying to finesse. That's why it makes sense to everybody else. Y'all in cahoots.
So now you're trying to say the stop doesn't make sense. Yeah, stop makes sense.
License plates. So you guys go ahead and step out of the car.
Talking about they suspended my license plate. When I got out, look, this a registration right here with the plate number, insurance, with the pin.
That's pretty typical. Go and step out of the car. Both of you.
So what do I gotta do to get this back today?
Get out of the vehicle right now.
Stay there. Stay there.
Yeah, I live here. I'm not staying nowhere.
Okay. Well, don't go up behind these police officers. Go straight inside.
That's why I signed it.
What's the point? Like y'all just go to 250. Y'all hurt that bad?
Back up a little bit. I'll talk to you in a minute.
Yeah.
Like y'all hurting that bad?
Just get out of the car, dude.
You just said I can go down there.
You can either get an intainer or you can go to jail. That's your option. If you don't get out of the car, you're going to go to jail.
Bro, so you said I gotta go to Shainer's. Where I gotta go to?
I'm fine now.
You got to go to the police department.
I appreciate it.
Pay $250 and you go to Shane. Shainer's is not going to release the car to you without valid registration.
Stop reaching in the car.
This is valid registration.
Then get out of the car. I gave you several. Get your hands out. Got something right there.
What I got? Man,
Get out of the car. Get out of the car, man. Get out of the car. Hands up. Put your hands up.
I don't got no handcuffs.
Get your hands. Put your hands behind your back.
Bro,
Get out of the car, Anthony. Step out.
y'all some bitches.
Keep your hands.
You kind of cool. A little bit.
Put your hands behind your back.
Bro, what are y'all trying to help me?
Don't tense up, man.
Man,
Just relax.
y'all ass
Just relax.
You guys aren't complying to anything we say.
All right. Here's a little issue, Corey, I might have. Now, when I pulled him out, did they make up their mind that they were going to arrest him at this point for refusing to get out of the car? Or did they just decide that once he got out of the car? Because he did say, look, either you get out of the car or you're going to be arrested, right? and he continued to argue a little bit, right? But at some point, he did get out of the car. So I guess they decided to arrest him for refusing to get out of the car in the first place. Is that what I understand correctly?
Correct. At least, well, except for the passenger, I think they were already going to get him and arrest him. But I think because at this point, I mean, once you step out, I've already gave you multiple chances to get out of the vehicle.
Yeah.
And you chose not to. So at this point, you know, you come out and you're, I mean, I'm still, the probability is still rushing you is still there. You're making this totally difficult. And then you're, you know, given some resistance still. Now at this point, yeah, you're going to be under arrest.
Yeah. And I think the officer should, unless he did and I didn't catch it, the officer should be clear with him. You are now under arrest. You're under arrest.
And Jesus love you. Yeah. See, Jesus love you. This is what we're talking about. You know, Jesus love you says he didn't know it was two of them in the vehicle.
Yeah,
Why? Because of that dark tent. You couldn't tell there was another, but I mean, we could tell there was a passenger in there because you could hear the other person talking. But if you're just standing back and you really don't have a good line of sight into the vehicle, you're not going to know there was another person in it. And that's the danger of that. And that's the danger of having dark tent like that.
Yeah.
You don't know who is in the vehicle, and that's why it's so important to have, you know, those windows rolled down so that the officer can see.
And also that female who started, she said, I live here. Oh, okay. With these officers, as an officer, I still have to be concerned about somebody else coming into the scene that could be a safety issue, could be a threat to me. We don't know who she is. I don't know who you are. You walking up towards me, towards what I'm doing. I don't, for all I know, you could be somebody who's getting ready to try to take him out of the car yourself and do whatever, or try to hurt me. So that's why, okay, I understand you live here. Just stand over there.
We know you're not the mother.
Right. And I need to maintain the safety of this scene. And the best way for me to do that, the less people I have to worry about, the better. You know what I'm saying? So let's keep it going real quick.
Stop. Wait. Stop it. Yo, here. You're under arrest. I'm under arrest for resisting. Yeah, you're a rookie. I'm going to jail. Nowhere. Record everything. Record right now. My guy. No, keep recording up here. We're recording. No, I'm not going nowhere. Y'all tweaking. I'm not under arrest, bro. Y'all tweaking. Anthony.
You said I'm not under arrest. Yes, you are.
I'm not arrested for nothing. I haven't done nothing wrong. You're under arrest. This is for license. Now you're under arrest. Go to the car. License plate. You're under arrest. Talking about this car. Go to the car. Suspended license plate. Get away from the car, or you're going to be put in handcuffs next.
For what?
This is for suspended license. Because you've been told to stay away.
And I did it. I went to the other
And you just walked up to the passenger side of the car.
That is illegal, right?
Nothing. Yeah. What you just did is illegal. Stay back. You're going to be in handcuffs next.
Watch out, bro. Watch out, Anthony. Watch out. Watch out, bro.
You doing extra shit. You doing extra shit, bro. Watch out. Do your job, bro. I'm right here. I don't have to get in the car.
You're under arrest for resisting. Get in the back of the squad car.
Y'all ass capping, bro. Y'all ass capping, Anthony. Y'all capping, bro. Watch out. Y'all doing too much. Y'all said y'all towing my car for suspended license plate, so tow the car. We're trying.
Give me before you.
Well, see, now he's saying tow the car. Well, man, if you had got out in the beginning, when they first started, none of that would have been going on. You know what I'm saying? They probably decided to arrest him for obstruction or for resisting. Yeah, because they got frustrated with him still trying to refuse to get out of the car. So once he finally was able to get out of the car, they just decided to arrest him, is what it looks like to me, Corey. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
And now you got a lot of moving parts now as you're getting ready to see everybody. Now, again, the title of this is, you know, father tries to prevent son's arrest. Now, dad is coming in. We ain't got to the good part yet.
Right.
All right. Scott W. asked, could they administratively detain, aka handcuffs, until the tow truck had taken? I mean, administratively, I mean, if they would have been, if they'd have got out of the car when they were supposed to, you wouldn't have to administratively detain them. You could just got them out the car, kept them away, and allowed the tow truck to do its thing. Now, again, in this situation where we are now, they could have been detained, but they've already made a decision to arrest them. So now they're going to jail. If they were still going to detain them, they could have just still left them in handcuffs and got them up closer to the house or whatever, and allowed a tow truck to come do its thing. Yes, they could have, but they've already made that decision that they're going to arrest them, and now they're going to jail. The lady, yeah, what part of stay back did she not understand, Delando?
Right. Don't be messing around with the car.
See, what she's doing, she thinks she didn't do anything wrong. Well, now I have a crime scene. Right.
Yeah.
I'm conducting an investigation now, right? I got guys in handcuffs. I have to process this car.
I hear you, Delando.
I gotta do an inventory of everything. And who's to say she's not coming to get something out that car? Remember what we said anyway.
Everything is capped now.
That they the guy's previous history with the guns and drugs and everything. How do we know she wasn't going in that car and trying to get the drugs out of there to not get caught?
If there was some in there, yeah, that's a possibility.
That's why she needs to stay away. That's why you need to stay back. And yes, she could have got arrested or at least detained herself. Now it's starting to get a little more chaotic here, Mike.
Yeah, and like you said, there's a lot of moving parts here in a minute. So these officers have to maintain the security of the scene. Now they decide to arrest this guy for not getting out of the car. After they finally were able to get him out of the car, they decided to arrest him. Now I could come up with a couple of reasons. I think they were frustrated with him, first of all. So technically he had already broken the law, so they could arrest him anyway. But I think they arrested him because they were either frustrated with him or they were going to tow the car. We know that. But they didn't want him to try to do something to prevent them from towing the car even further now that he was out of the car. That could be something too. But let's keep it going.
Mm-hmm.
Down here, we're supposed to get a crowd. We got two that want to get in the squad car.
Y'all ass talking.
I'm not sure what tweaking means. So
In my pocket.
can y'all enlighten me on that term? What is tweaking?
I don't know. Tweaking is like you on drugs. Methamphetamine or something like that. You tweaking. You got too much going on. You too high.
Okay.
Yes. You guys step back. There's a canine now. I don't want anybody getting bit. Deal with that. Yeah. Step back from the car, man. He's gonna run this dog around here. I don't want you getting bit. Chill out. What? This is how everyone's talking.
That's how he.
Because I don't want anybody getting
It's just
bit.
to get loud.
Because you guys don't understand.
I do.
You don't.
I do.
You don't understand.
Yes, I do.
Wasn't nothing going on. Like, what do you mean?
Anthony, just put your feet in the car.
Bro, what? Under arrest.
Get in the car. We'll put you in the car.
What was I under arrest for? Exactly.
Resisting.
Bro, ever had no video, I was not
You
resisting.
were here.
I left. That's my son.
Because you wouldn't follow our directions.
What direction was that? This is for a suspended license, bro. They talking.
How long were you on scene when they wouldn't get out of the car?
They don't have to get out the car.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Get in the car. We'll put you in the car.
So now we threatening? Like
Threatening what?
Okay, real quick. This dad is now
This dad.
confrontational. So he would, in my mind, would be a threat to me. Okay. I'm not going to sit here and hold court on the street with you. I don't have to stand here and give you an explanation as to why I arrested your adult son. He can call you after he's booked and explain everything to you, or everything will be in my report. I don't need to sit here while I'm in the process of processing and arresting your son. I don't need to stand here and give you a full-blown explanation about what happened. And second of all, you standing too close already. Okay.
Right.
I don't know. You son, for all I know, you might be trying to fight me or something. I don't know.
Right.
You need to stand back so you are one less person I have to worry about.
I mean, and that's just the common courtesy that where at this point you're assuming that's the dad. That could be Uncle Leroy down the street. We
Yeah, we
don't
don't
really
know.
know.
You don't know.
And now he's trying to, act as if he was there the whole time, trying to interject. Now, again, from a dad's perspective, all right, I get it. Hey, what's going on? Let's see what's going on. Okay. I think for me, and what I have been through in the past, I would have just like, all right, son, don't worry about get in car. We'll handle it. We'll deal with it.
Right. Don't you comply
deal
with what they're saying. Get processed. Right. I'll call you or you call me as soon as you can, and we'll talk about what happened. Okay. Right. But I'm not going to interfere with what these officers are doing at this time. Nor should you.
That also goes because we're former law enforcement, and we know right now.
Right.
Let's switch it. What if we never were law enforcement? Would we had that same attitude? We probably had the same attitude. Right. We'll probably try to come off sideways to them, right? And end up in handcuffs ourselves. But based on training and knowledge that we have in our past experiences, it's more like, hey, son, just get in the car. We'll deal with it. We'll deal with it later. Just get in the car. Don't worry about it. We're not going to do this here.
Right. You're right. As a dad, if I didn't have any experience in law enforcement, I might react the same way. You have an instinct to try to say, hey, you wrongfully are arresting my son. I want an explanation for it. That's how I might.
And you're looking at it and not having knowledge of the law. You're looking at it the same way. Now we had knowledge of the law. We see, okay, this is a huge mistake. We're gonna get it hashed out. Don't worry about, it's gonna suck that you got to go downtown and maybe spend a few hours in until we can get post bond and get you out. But at the end of the day, you're not gonna fight on the side of the road.
Yeah, you got to understand that. You know what I'm saying? And like you say, especially if you are in a community where you don't trust the police, or you've had past, let's say, police use of force, excessive use of force issues, right? If you had all that as a community, and nor do you, so as a result of that, you don't have any relationships with anybody in the police department. You assume that every police officer you see is either racist or violent. Okay. If you see your child being arrested by one of those, you naturally are going to have some feelings about that might make you want to try to step in. You know what I'm saying? Right. But we know, like you said, Corey, that's the wrong thing to do. Let's keep it going.
Yep.
He's under arrest. He has to get in the car. Resisting. Yeah. What was he under arrest for? For resisting. He was holding out of the car for 30 minutes. What was the reason for him to resist him? What was the initial cause? So it's a traffic stop. Okay, so the traffic stop and resistance? Yes, the traffic stop and the plates are suspended. So why did the car is registered to his house? That's fine. And so why did you take the plates and they suspended? And I would have put the car in the backyard and we'll about the business. Because the car's got to be towed. Why is that? The plates are suspended. It's a traffic stop. Yes, he was just operating on a roadway. It's not like he was backing out and we stopped him in the driveway. The plates are suspended. So instead of taking the plates, you gotta take the whole car. Yes. So if you take the plates, the car.
Okay, sir, we ain't gonna go through this all over again. I'm telling you that we arrested your son. You'll be able to speak to him once he gets through the booking process. He'll be able to call you or whatever it may be, however their procedure is. We're past the point of trying to explain to each and every citizen who decides to walk up on the scene why we're doing what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? People got to understand that. This dad came all late to the party, okay? We way past what you're trying to find out, okay? We'll let your son describe it or let your wife describe it. She was there. She knows what happened. But right now, we have to arrest your son. We're going to take him down a thing, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? That's it. Let's go.
Right.
Y'all tweaking
Hey, come get my wallet and my insurance. No, they trying to take my documents. Y'all can't take my documents, bro.
Everything in your possession.
Well, let my parents get my
I'll
documents.
let them give them to me, and I'll give them to them, man.
Look, all this stuff is going on in the world, man. This is what's going on over the plates.
Well, give me the stuff, man. Just
Well, yeah, sir. All your son had to do was get out of the car when we initially told him.
Yeah, right. Let's make that clear. All
Let's
the
just
stuff
make
that's
that
going on
clear.
in the world, you know, this isn't because we pulled you over and found your registration suspended. This is because you failed to get out of the car. Okay, let's make that clear. And after multiple opportunities that you had to step out of that car, okay, so it's not because we stopped you for speeding. It's not because your license or your registration is suspended. It ain't even because of that. It's because you refused to get out of the car when you were supposed to. Here we go.
See what?
All I had to do was get out of the car. 25 minutes. Keep it. Hey, Pulkrabek.
What? I am. I'm finna bomb right out.
Do not get his phone.
Bro, like literally. I
Nope. Go to jail. Give me the phone. We're not giving the phone away. Stop. It's not Give me the phone. Give me the phone. Get him on the ground. Give me all the units right now. Get back. You're going to jail.
Okay. Let me skip a little bit here.
Quick. So I want to go back to where the initial contact with the dad took place, Mike,
Okay.
and seeing the reason why that transpired. So we know what this son was into. We know what he had previous charges of. So at this point, we don't know how much involvement.
Wait a minute, though. You say that. We don't know if he's still into that right now. We know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what I was getting to. We don't know.
Okay.
We don't know everything that, you know, we don't know who's all involved with the lifestyle he was living.
Right.
We don't know how much the mom was involved. We don't know, because now reason why he gets hemmed up is because somehow or another the mom got the cell phone.
Yeah.
Right. So now that's part of evidence that was in the car. That's all evidence right now. And so I have to ask a question: why is she getting a cell phone? And then, you know, he goes and tries to retrieve it from her, and then I guess the dad tries to stop that from him, because it looked like she was trying to pass it off to him, and he got in between them, and then that's when it all falls apart. And he's yelling and screaming, you know, after he gets Bystander, he's a pastor. Well, you should have been handling this a lot different if you're a pastor, in my opinion.
Yeah. You shouldn't have got involved the way you did. Now, when he did try to get involved, when he tried to forcibly, he tried to grab the phone or stop the officer from grabbing the phone. That's a no-no. It's a big no-no. We tell you can't. We have to take the phone as part of evidence or whatever it is. If I feel that phone might have some evidence or something, I have a right to take that phone because it was in the car with him or it was on his person when he was arrested. Okay. So I don't have to give all of your belongings to your family members. I could take it with you and log it into evidence myself so that you can get it later. Okay. But they took it upon themselves to give a cell phone to his mom. Well, like you say, there's a possibility, Corey, that cell phone, it could have some evidence on it. But then again, Corey, here's the way I look at that. I'm not going to take your cell phone, though, unless I have some indications that there would be something on there that would be pertaining to this case. You know what I'm saying?
True.
I'm not just going to, by standard, take your cell phone. If you wanted to give it to your parent, I'm going to let you do that unless there are some articulable circumstances that would make me think that that cell phone was some kind of evidence, okay, for what was going on at that time. All right.
Yeah.
And now if I decide that, which apparently these officers did, now I'm not going to let you take the cell phone. I'm going to take it with me. I'm going to log it into evidence, maybe write a search warrant if I feel that there's something on that cell phone that is evidence, right?
Right. So my question is to our audience: what are your thoughts right now in seeing this? Do you think the dad overreacted? What are your thoughts on this? State says I would have an attitude, but I would not get involved, and I would be telling my son to do what they are telling. Absolutely. You doggone right. We're not going to escalate the situation. I don't want a scene in the neighborhood, for one, to bring embarrassment to our family. You're gonna handle this the right way. We can get in the car and we'll deal with it. And that's what I always tell them. We'll deal with it. We're not gonna do this. In my opinion, I think the dad was overreacting a little bit. And it's okay. Yeah, he's saying that he's a man of God. Well, what you think Jesus would do at this point? You think Jesus would get involved and try to, intervene and interject himself like this? Nah, hey, you did this, and then you're gonna deal with it. You should have got out the car when they told you to. Be obedient, right? And he wasn't doing that.
Keep in mind, I'm not saying that I wouldn't have the feelings that this father is having.
No,
if I was in his position with no
you're
law
a dad, you should have those feelings.
If I was in his position with no law enforcement experience, I can definitely understand why he is reacting this way as far as emotions go. Okay. Right. But you have to understand, you can't get your emotions out of hand to the point where it causes you to physically intervene with what that officer is doing, because you're only going to make that officer feel like, okay, well, you trying to physically stop me, I'm gonna have to physically restrain you too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because the officers got to protect themselves at all costs. Now they got to protect this prisoner at all costs, no matter who you are. Okay. And they got to make sure you're not somebody that's going to try to do something to intervene and interrupt what I am doing with my prisoner or his belongings.
Right. So now the dad obviously is arrested as well, and they both get to take a trip downtown, and it didn't have to be that way. Now, granted, there's a butt ton of laws and regulations and city ordinance that I totally disagreed with. But at the same time, I know I had a job doing it. If the law stipulated that it says you shall, then there's no gray room for me. I had to take you to jail. I had to. And this may be that type of situation, where there is no gray room for as hideous and stupid as this ordinance is. And I'm just wondering, now this law thing here that they're doing here, they just implemented this. I think I read like 2 years ago. So, and when it first came out in 2021, 2,700 people had their registration suspended because lack of insurance. 2,700 people when it first came out. So, and I'm thinking now, as I was reading an article on it and watching the video, and I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe he might have been just one of those 2,700 that never got their registration fixed, and the guy sold the car during that time period. And now here, Mr. Anthony comes and scoops this car up at the auction. Now he's dealing with this guy's headache. Is it fair to Anthony? Is it fair to this young man? No, it's not fair to him. But you also got to look at the position that the officers are in right now, right? They don't know the situation prior to him getting his vehicle. They have to go what they have presented in front of them. The officers always have to do that. They have to go with the information they have that's in front of them. And right now, that information says that this vehicle is not properly registered, and it has to be towed. And that's what they're trying to do. It got to this point because he refused to get out of the vehicle. Correct?
Right.
Him and his buddy failed to get out of the vehicle. And we got to this point when it should never have got this far. What say you, Mike?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you know, it should never got that far. But what happens? Let me what ultimately happens in here is Stacy asking is, let's see, it actually shows the disposition here of what happened. They finally got him arrested, and let's see, I'm fast forwarding. Here we go.
Yeah, started right there.
The passenger of the vehicle, Breshawn, was charged with misdemeanor, obstructing an officer. The driver of the vehicle, Anthony, was also charged with misdemeanor, obstructing an officer. In court, Anthony was found guilty of obstructing an officer and was sentenced to a 12-month conditional discharge and 100 hours of community service. Brian was charged with armed violence, Category 1 weapons, aggravated battery to an officer, and resisting, obstructing an officer with injury.
Okay.
He must have got into another scuffle with them after the fact.
I think so. He must have. Then they don't articulate that in this video, but he got those are some extra charges. Like I don't, you know, but okay, you know, yes, it's something. What I do like is how he was once he realized he was about to be arrested. The dad, that is, he put his hands up in the air, put his hands behind his back. Yeah, he got a couple of shots in the rib cage when he didn't immediately put his hands behind his back when he was on the ground. But as soon as they did that shots, his hand came behind his back, and he was arrested successfully with very little physical altercation for the bigger picture anyway. You know what I'm saying?
And I don't think he got it never stated in any article that I read that the issue was taken care of. Obviously, I'm assuming it had been because it wasn't in the disposition. So I'm not sure 100% if he did get it taken care of. Because all they got charged with was just the obstruction.
Yeah, because he probably got the 12-month. I can't remember what they said. 12 months suspension.
Well, community service, 100 hours of community service.
He probably got that because he was already on probation. Remember, so a 30-day probation or something like that. They said.
Yeah, something like that in the beginning.
That's probably why he got that extra little thing tapped on to his obstructing the officer. But at any rate, you got to get out of the car, folks. You can't just refuse to get out of the car. You can't just refuse to be arrested. If they say you're under arrest, you are under arrest, and it's in your best interest to comply and go with the program. Argue your case some other way. Argue your case in court. Okay? Turn around and sue them if you think that that's wrongfully done. Whatever you need to do, but you don't argue and fight on the scene. Nor do you. An officer is not going to take an hour to explain something to you that you just can't understand. You know what I'm saying? Or you just don't agree with it. You might understand it, but you don't agree with it. So you think you're justified in resisting. Well, you're not. You're never justified in resisting. Okay.
Yeah, it's not the place to do it. Not there on the side of the road. Because as you can see, the officers, I mean, that was the last thing they wanted to do was to go hands on.
They wasn't trying to get into no competition.
They weren't trying to get into it. And by him resisting the whole time, forced the officers' hands to go hands on with him, and then ultimately, charge him with obstructing. And be honest with you guys, I mean, that's pretty much how it happens all the time. Officers don't want to get into any. Now you got those ones and twosies out there that are a bunch of idiots and want to, get into stuff and go hands on all the time. But the majority of the officers, man, that's the last thing we want to do, because that's more paperwork we got to deal with.
Yeah, I ain't trying to get hurt. I ain't trying to get hurt.
Yeah, I ain't trying to get hurt, and I ain't trying to do more paperwork and answer 6 million questions, through the chain of command, and why you had to go hands on. And it ain't worth it. So that's where we are. Don't do it. I mean, there's no other way to say it, right? That's why we came up with the acronym of CALM: comply, answer questions, listen, and move on. Now, yeah, he got to move on, all right, but it wasn't the way he wanted to move on. Could it have been a lot worse, Mike? Yeah, it could have turned out a heck of a lot worse than what it did.
Fortunately, it didn't.
Unfortunately, no, thank the Lord it didn't. Golly. And you see how things just escalate, right? And it gets out of hand, and ultimately somebody ends up really getting hurt or killed in these lot of these situations. And it doesn't have to be. It didn't. None of this right here had to happen. Dad didn't have to go to jail. The son didn't have to go to jail, and the friend did not have to go to jail. So, I mean, because of their actions dictated the end result of what happened. So
we had a long one today, an hour and a half there, Corey. I think this one of the longer ones we had. I appreciate you guys hanging with us.
It was a good one. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this one up, man. We just want to thank everybody for watching. To all my vets out there, thank you for your service. Enjoy your Veterans Weekend this weekend. Mike, thank you for your service.
Thank you for
any of our viewers that are prior law enforcement, thank you for your service as well. And don't forget to head on over to the Brothers-in-law. I'm gonna put it back up here. Merch shop.
That was for military veterans. Thanks for your service, right?
Yeah, military veterans.
I know what you meant to say.
Military vets. Thank you for your service. Head over to the merch shop, check it out, get a t-shirt, help support the Brothers-in-law. If you got something that you would like for us to talk about on the show, email us at brothers-in-law21@gmail.com, and we'll get the video on the show. Hey, you could be a guest on the show as well if you want. We can talk about it. Share your points of view, your frustration, your disagreement with us. Bring it. We're here to listen. We're here to give you our insight. That's all we're doing, giving you our insight. All right. Mike, final words.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks for hanging in there with us a little longer today. And we'll have another one for you next week. Hopefully it'll be a good discussion, and we'll get into it. But you guys have a good weekend. Happy Veterans Day. Stay safe.
Thank you. Love you guys.